The initial thing I thought, when I saw what is happening in the camp of the highest military ranks of Ukraine, that this was a real riot. The nervousness of the most important Ukrainian general, Valery Zaluzhny, is felt from a distance. The commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian troops responds very harshly when he hears all kinds of accusations that the Ukrainian army is disappointing its Western patrons with the slow pace of the offensive. Valery Zaluzhny goes berserk as soon as he hears that the United States will not forgive Ukraine for multibillion-dollar investments in case of failure of the offensive actions of the armed forces of Ukraine. The nervousness and excessive irritability of the Ukrainian general can be understood. And this is largely due not to the fact that the Ukrainian army is stuck in the Zaporizhia direction, but to the failure of the operation of Ukrainian airborne troops at the Antonovsky Bridge. Experts are sure that the destruction of the Ukrainian airborne troops and the strike on the Antonovsky Bridge by the Russian Iskander missile will have very negative consequences for the entire Ukrainian army. In order for you to understand what we are talking about, let me remind you that on June 23, the Ukrainian airborne troops landed at the Antonovsky Bridge in order to provide cover for the delivery of new groups of fighters to capture the entire territory, including the city of Oleshki in the Kherson Oblast. According to available data, this operation was planned personally by General Valery Zaluzhny, with the participation of American military advisors from the Pentagon. Moreover, according to unconfirmed reports, during the landing of the Ukrainian airborne troops, American fighters of the Special Elite Forces of the U.S. Army were also present among them. For a week, the Russians unsuccessfully tried to dislodge the Ukrainian airborne troops from this territory. However, the Antonovsky Bridge, under which Ukrainian and American fighters were hiding, protected them from artillery shelling and aerial bombs of special power. General Zaluzhny perfectly understood that the airborne troops were completely safe under the bridge, since all Soviet bridges were built taking into account military operations and had special strength. Moreover, General Zaluzhny claimed that even Russian Iskander missiles would not be able to destroy this bridge. The Ukrainian general cited American HIMARS missiles as an example, which could not destroy the bearing beams of the Antonovsky Bridge even after 6 hits, in September 2022. However, as further events showed, the Ukrainian general was very wrong. After the Russians became convinced that it would be impossible to dislodge the Ukrainian airborne troops by conventional means from the territory of the Antonovsky Bridge, they resorted to more radical methods. On June 30th, shocking footage for the Ukrainian command appeared on the network. Contrary to all expectations, the Russian Iskander missile still managed to destroy the bearing beams of the Antonovsky Bridge, under which Ukrainian and American fighters were hiding. According to reports, about 80 fighters were killed. Moreover, this incident clearly showed Pentagon that the Russian Iskander missiles are not only in many ways superior to the American HIMARS missiles, but are also capable of depriving the Ukrainian army of all military logistics not only in the Kherson region, but also throughout Ukraine.